It did not start with chaos, it started with a sentence. At exactly 8 a.m., every phone on Earth vibrated at the same time. No matter the country, no matter the language, no matter the time zone, one message appeared. Effective immediately, lying is illegal. There was no explanation, no logo, no organization name, no governance signature, just those 4 words. At first, people laughed. Some thought it was a hack. Others assumed it was a strange global marketing campaign. Memes began forming within minutes. But then something strange happened. A man in Tokyo tried to lie to his boss. He physically couldn't. The words would not leave his mouth. His throat tightened. His jaw locked. In New York, a politician began to twist a statement during a live interview. Mid-sentence, he froze. Not metaphorically, literally froze. Something had changed in human biology. The first confirmed case was recorded in London. A woman stood in a supermarket line. The cashier asked a simple question. Did you scan all your items? She had not. She opened her mouth to say yes. Nothing came out. Her body resisted. Her chest tightened. Her breathing became unstable. Her lips trembled, as if something invisible was blocking her speech. The entire store watched. After several painful seconds, she whispered the truth. No, the pressure disappeared instantly. The pain stopped. Within hours, similar events were reported everywhere. People attempting small lies, social lies, harmless lies, polite lies, all failing. The world realized something terrifying. This was not a law written on paper, it was enforced by reality itself. Governments tried to regain control immediately. Emergency press conferences were held across continents. Leaders stood confidently behind podiums, promising stability. But confidence requires flexibility, and politics requires distortion. The first leader to attempt a carefully crafted lie collapsed on live television. His sentence stopped halfway through. Sweat formed instantly. Silence filled the room. And then, in front of millions, he was forced to speak honestly. We do not know how to handle this. Markets reacted within minutes. Trust did not fall. It evaporated. Campaign speeches became shorter. Debates became awkward. Press statements became brutally direct. For the first time in history, political language lost its power. Only truth remained. And truth is rarely comfortable. The real damage did not begin in parliaments. It began in living rooms. Do you love me? The most dangerous question in human history suddenly became unavoidable. For centuries, relationships survived on softened truths, on edited emotions, on protective lies designed to avoid conflict. Now, those buffers were gone. A husband tried to say, "Of course I'm happy." His body refused. What came out instead was, "I don't know anymore." Silence followed. Across the world, conversations became surgical, raw, precise. Unfiltered, friends admitted jealousy. Partners admitted doubt. Parents admitted fear. Divorce rates spiked within weeks, but strangely, so did emotional clarity. Because without lies, people could no longer hide behind politeness. The illusion of harmony disappeared. What remained was either real or nothing at all. Corporations were not prepared. Marketing departments went silent. How do you sell a product when exaggeration is impossible? This is the best phone ever made. Silence. Correction. This is slightly better than last year's version, but not revolutionary. Investors panicked. Stock markets trembled as quarterly earnings calls transformed into brutal honesty sessions. Yes, we overestimated growth. Yes, we cut corners. Yes, the product has flaws. Surprisingly, something unexpected happened. consumer trust increased. For the first time, companies that admitted weaknesses gained loyalty. Transparency became currency. But industries built entirely on illusion, luxury branding, influencer culture, political consultancy, began collapsing. The world economy had been powered by perception. Now it had to survive on reality. The internet reacted violently. Influencers attempting curated perfection froze mid-recording. This is my natural morning routine. Pause. I woke up tired, and I don't feel motivated. Filters could still alter appearance, but captions could no longer alter truth. The comment sections became brutally honest arenas. I don't actually like this. I posted this for attention. I'm insecure. Engagement initially skyrocketed, then something strange happened. Without exaggeration, without emotional manipulation, without artificial personas. Content became quieter, more human, less performative. People began posting less, but when they did, it mattered more. The algorithm had been trained on deception. Now it had to adapt to authenticity. And authenticity does not shout, it speaks calmly. Crime did not disappear, it evolved. Interrogation rooms became silent theaters. Did you commit the crime? Suspects could not lie. Confessions became immediate. Court systems accelerated overnight, but criminals adapted quickly. If you cannot lie, you avoid speaking. Silence became the new shield. Non-verbal crime increased, cybercrime mutated. Truth detection became obsolete, because truth was enforced by nature itself. But a deeper question emerged: if someone cannot lie, does that mean they cannot deceive? Truth can be selective, and selective truth can be just as dangerous as a lie. Humanity discovered something unsettling. We were never limited by words, we were limited by intention. Children were the least affected, because they were already the most honest, but something subtle changed. Before, when a child said "I'm fine," parents sensed there was more beneath it. Now, there wasn't. Emotions surfaced immediately. I'm scared of school. I feel lonely. I don't understand why you're angry. Families who chose to listen became stronger. Families who didn't fractured faster. The illusion that kids don't understand disappeared. Children had always understood. They were simply forced to adapt to adult dishonesty. Now the adaptation was gone, and a generation began growing up without learning how to lie. A generation raised in emotional transparency, which raised an uncomfortable possibility. If lying disappears for one generation, does manipulation disappear too? Or does it simply evolve into something more sophisticated? International diplomacy became unstable overnight. Press conferences transformed into global confessionals. We trust our allies. Pause. We cooperate because we need leverage. Negotiations that once took months now ended in minutes, because hidden agendas could no longer hide. Treaties became brutally honest documents. Power imbalances surfaced instantly. Some alliances strengthened, others dissolved immediately. War did not increase, but tension became visible. For the first time in history, citizens could hear the real motives behind decisions. And many did not like what they heard. The myth of moral superiority shattered. Nations were exposed as pragmatic, strategic, self-interested systems, and strangely, transparency did not make leaders weaker, it made manipulation harder. Offices became emotionally dangerous spaces. I'm excited about this project. Silence. I'm overwhelmed and underpaid. Meetings shortened because corporate language collapsed. Performance reviews became honest. Your work is average. I promoted you because I felt pressured. Hierarchy shifted. Competence replaced politics. But something unexpected happened. Motivation initially dropped because many employees had been running on approval. Without fake praise, self-worth had to become internal. Productivity decreased for months, then slowly, it stabilized. The strongest workers were not those who impressed. They were those who believed in their own value. Truth forced people to build internal confidence, and not everyone was ready. Therapists reported something fascinating. Anxiety patterns changed. For decades, anxiety had been fueled by hidden judgment. What do they think of me? Are they lying? Am I being deceived? Now, uncertainty reduced, but a new anxiety emerged. Radical clarity. When someone said, "I don't like you," there was no room for interpretation. Rejection became precise. Pain became direct, but so did connection. I appreciate you. I respect you. I need help. Mental health professionals observed that emotional recovery accelerated because clarity eliminates rumination. You cannot overthink what is already clear. Ambiguity feeds anxiety. Truth removes ambiguity. But truth also removes comforting illusions. And not everyone survives that transition easily. Love became rare, but when it appeared, it was undeniable. I choose you. Not because of convenience, not because of fear. Not because of expectation, because choice became transparent. Proposals changed, friendships changed. Commitment became heavier, because staying was no longer default. It was conscious. Romantic gestures became quieter, less dramatic, more real. Breakups were faster. But marriages that survived were stronger than any in history. Because loyalty could no longer be faked. In a world without lies, love was no longer a performance, it was a decision. Crime didn't disappear, but it changed. Because deception was no longer possible. Interrogations became obsolete. Confessions happened instantly. I did it. There was no strategy. No fabricated alibi. No manipulation of narrative. Courtrooms became faster. Justice became mechanical. But something strange occurred. Empathy increased. When criminals spoke, they didn't justify, they revealed. I was jealous. I was desperate. I wanted power. Society began seeing motives clearly, and clarity forces responsibility. But it also forces confrontation, because when evil cannot hide behind excuses, we must face the uncomfortable truth. Some people choose harm consciously. And no system can fully prevent that. Truth exposes, it does not purify. Election campaigns became radically different. No more polished promises, no more rehearsed optimism. I want this position for influence, I want control. I believe I can manage power better than others. Surprisingly, some voters respected that honesty. Charisma shifted. Authenticity replaced perfection, but perfection had always been illusion. Approval ratings fluctuated violently, because now voters reacted to raw motives. Some leaders rose quickly, others disappeared overnight. Populism lost its emotional manipulation. Fear-based messaging weakened, because exaggeration couldn't survive. And politics became less theatrical, more direct, less glamorous. More accountable, democracy felt heavier. But strangely, more real. Social media changed overnight. Filters meant nothing. Captions meant nothing. Because intention was visible, I posted this for attention. I want validation. I'm lonely. Viral trends lost energy. Influencers struggled. Authenticity became the only currency. But authenticity is exhausting when people stop performing happiness. Engagement initially dropped, then something unexpected happened. Smaller communities formed, deeper conversations emerged. Popularity became less important than resonance for the first time. Being seen meant being understood, not being admired. Markets stabilized because speculation reduced. When CEOs spoke, investors knew real intentions. I believe in this product. I'm unsure about long-term success. Transparency removed artificial hype. Stock crashes became less dramatic. Trust became measurable. Reputation became irreversible. Companies built loyalty through clarity. But profit margins tightened because emotional manipulation disappeared. Brands that survived were those aligned with real value. And consumers changed too. They no longer bought narratives. They bought substance. The economy did not collapse, it recalibrated. The biggest change wasn't social, it was internal. Without lies, identity became sharper. You could no longer pretend to be someone else. Imposter syndrome decreased, but so did delusion. Self-awareness became unavoidable. I'm not as kind as I thought. I'm more insecure than I admit. I need to change. Growth accelerated. But so did discomfort, because self-confrontation is painful. Truth does not attack you, it reveals you. And revelation is irreversible. Once you see yourself clearly, you cannot unsee it. After 1 year, the world was calmer, slower, less dramatic, less deceptive. But something was missing: mystery, flirtation, strategic silence. The small lies that protect fragile moments. Humanity realized something profound. Lies are destructive. But so is brutal honesty without empathy, because truth without compassion becomes weaponized. And deception without intention becomes survival. So the world faced a final question: was the problem lying? Or was it the lack of responsibility behind it? If tomorrow, your thoughts became public, would you feel liberated or exposed? And more importantly, would you change who you are, or finally become who you truly are?